let's talk about investing in equity. When we invest in equity, we buy a part ownership in a company. You could buy it in a private company or a public company. So for example, Joey decides to open a vegan pizza restaurant. He needs $50,000 to start. And so he talks to his sister Elaine. Elaine decides to purchase 25% of the company for $50,000. Now in 5 years, that company has 6 restaurants and it's now worth $400,000. So Elaine's investment of $50,000 is now worth $100,000 because she owns 25% of $400,000. So she's doubled her money by investing in the vegan pizza restaurant. And there are pros and cons to investing in company stock. On the positive side, you actually own a piece of the company, and if the value goes up, you benefit. Historically, equities have outperformed bonds. And here's a crazy fact. Since 1926, U.S. large stocks have returned an average of 10% versus 3.5% for bonds. That doesn't sound like a lot, but if you look at a 196-year period, which one fellow did, and you invested $10,000 in U.S. stocks in 1815, 196 years later, 2011, you would have had $5.6 billion. If you had invested that same $10,000 for that same 196 years into bonds, you would only have $8 million. And if you had invested in gold, you would have only had $26,000. You can look at the study here. What does this mean? Over very long periods of time, stocks blow the lights out of bonds or gold as an investment. But on the negative side, if the company loses money, you don't get your principal back like you would with a debt or a loan. And stocks can be very volatile, and there can be periods of market crashes. Now, what type of equities can you invest in? You can invest in private equities or in public equities. In the private markets, you can invest in Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaigns, but you might get products instead of equity. Or you could actually start your own business, which is what I did. In the public markets, you can buy large capitalization stocks or small capitalization stocks. Capitalization just means the size of the total capital or the size of the total business. So large cap companies are huge, multi-billions. Small cap companies are generally under $1 billion. You can buy international companies or you can buy US companies. Now you can also look at another way that stocks are divided up, and that is growth versus value. Growth companies generally are growing fast. They may not pay any dividends. Companies like that would include Amazon, Google, Facebook, or GoPro. Value companies are more mature. They've been around longer. They grow slower, but they pay dividends. An example would be ExxonMobil or Con Edison. And when the economy is growing, growth stocks do better. When the economy is slowing down, value stocks do better. And that makes a lot of sense. When there's a lot of growth and momentum, people want to invest in new things, they want to try new things, and they want to buy new things, so growth stocks do well. When everybody's afraid and the economy is slowing down, people go back to tried and true, they want a dividend stream, and so the value stocks come into favor. Now, there's no reason to choose. Ideally, you want to have both, because about 50% of the time, growth stocks do better than value, and 50% of the time, value does better than growth. So why choose? I say do both. What's happening now in the U.S. growth versus value stocks in July 2018? Well, this year we really saw a difference between growth and value because the economy is growing very strongly. So since between January and July of 2018, regular S&P growth stocks are up 9%. The value stocks are down 1%. Not only that, the tech stocks are up 13%, and Amazon, which is a personal favorite of mine, is up 45%. So you can see that in different periods and in different economic cycles, some investments perform much better than others. Now, what about social impact? I know a lot of people today care about not only does the company make money, but are they doing good for the environment, for their employees, and for the world. So these companies are typically called social impact investments. Now, the top 400 positive social impact companies have been tracked in an index since 1990. The index is called the MSCI KLD Social Index. There are 2 ETFs that you can buy which will mimic what those indexes do, and they are called DSI or KLD. In both of those indexes, the top holdings are Microsoft, Facebook, 2 classes of Google, and Intel. You can see the entire list of the KLD holdings here. How else can I invest in social impact? Well, you could buy a social impact mutual fund. One that I really like is the Neuberger Berman Social Impact Equities Fund. The ticker is NBSRX. If you prefer social impact bonds, you can look at the Social Choice Bond Fund. The ticker is TSBRX.